Hi, I'm Steve. It's Training Tuesday. I'm here at the Dartford Training Centre, and today I'm going to be showing you the installer menu on the new Baxi air source heat pump pre-plumbed cylinder. So, with the installer menu, this is where the engineer can access all the parameters and settings to control the heat pump. Let's have a look. So, in the advanced carousel menu, we've got the scroll here, which is going to take us left and right. So, if we scroll along to where it says installer, and we push on the button, it's going to take us in, and it's going to ask us for an installer code. This code can be found in the installation manual. The code is 00112. So in the installation setup, if I press on zone 1, so I've got a uSense 2 here. This is for demonstration purposes only. This would usually be connected onto the wall inside the room, okay? So a lot of the parameters we're going to set here, we can also be done through this, or they can be done on the My Baxi app for things like scheduling and heating temperatures. All right, so I'm going to navigate you through this. We've got what type of zone it is, which is this, it's a direct zone. We've got the name of the zone at the top there. Setting our heating temperatures, what we want our operating mode to be, i.e. scheduling, holiday away, etc. Time programs, when we want the heating to come on and off. That can also be done through our uSense 2. The heat curve, we're going to talk about this in more detail in a later video. General settings, screed drying, and advanced settings. Okay, now if we come back out of that, it takes us back onto our main installation setup page. So because I've only got one zone connected, I'm going to ignore the two zone 2 and zone 3, which are B and C on this. Now if we were to wire them in and control those zones, then we set all our settings through that the exact same way we did zone 1. Okay, now if we scroll down to our domestic hot water settings and we click on that, it takes us into all of our parameters and settings for controlling the hot water. So we've got set domestic hot water temperatures. If I click on that, this is where I can put in my comfort and my eco set point. Next, we've got our operating mode. This is where we can either put it on scheduling, comfort, which is constant with hot water, boost, which is if we've ran out of water and we want to boost it up to a certain temperature, or holiday away settings. So we come back out of that and we scroll down and it's got time programs. Now if we click on that one, we've got 3 different options for scheduling. So we can go into schedule 1, for example. We can set when we want the heat pump to start the hot water production. We've got 6 AM and we want it to heat the water up to 53 degrees. And we can repeat that for each day or change it, whatever suits the end user's needs. Come back out of that and come back out of that again. And then we've got our general settings. We'll click on that. First up, we've got hysteresis. This is the temperature drop inside the tank before it calls for hot water production. We've got a maximum hot water production time. We've got the minimum central heating before switching back over to hot water. Now a heat pump is domestic hot water priority. So like a combi boiler, it's only going to do one or the other. We've got our max temperature of the flow going to our cylinder, which is direct hot water max temperature. We've got post run for the hot water pump and holiday away set point. Now if I come back out of that and we scroll down, we've got something called anti-Legionella. Now this is quite an important one. So when we click on that, we've got when we want Legionella to occur. So we've got weekly, we've got our Legionella target temperature. So we're going to try and heat the water up to 65 degrees to kill Legionella. We've got the anti-Legionella runtime, and we've got start day of the anti-Legionella and the start time. So right now we've got it to come on a Saturday at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we'll probably want to change that to a better time. We'll come back out of that and we scroll down to where it says backup. We can ignore the top one because we've already got a pre-fitted electric backup heater on the flow. But when we scroll down to domestic hot water management, we want to click on that and we want to tell it what sort of run strategy we want. So right now we've got it on heat pump only, which means that when we're producing hot water, we're only going to use the heat pump. When it's on Legionella, it will use the backup to get us up to that top temperature. Now, if we were to change that to auto, that changes it to comfort mode, which use of the heat pump and backup. So that means that every time we ask for hot water production, not only is it going to bring the heat pump on, it's going to bring on the backup heater. So come back out of that, come back out of that again, and then you've got your advanced settings. We've got general offset for domestic hot water. Now this is set at 5 degrees. We don't really want to change that. What that means is how hot it's going to ask the flow temperature going to our coil for our heat pump. So it's always going to look to be 5 degrees hotter than the current temperature of the water inside the heat pump. And that's generally the only one of the advanced settings that we would need to touch, but recommended to stay at 5 degrees. So come back out of that, and then we come back out of it again. It takes us into the main installation setup. Now, if we scroll down, we've got anything to do with controlling the heat pump, outdoor temperature, hot water mix circulation. So if we had a secondary pump return, if we had solar connected, and finally Bluetooth. This is how we can pair any smart device to our controller. So we'll come back out of that and we'll come back out of the installation setup again, and I'm going to talk you through the rest of the menu. So we've got signals, which is the information relayed back from the heat pump to the controller with information such as flow temperatures, refrigeration temperatures, set points, etc. Counters is where we look at how long things have been running for, i.e. how many hours we have domestic hot water functions for, how many hours it's run the backup. Commissioning is one that we might want to click on. So if we click on commissioning, we can either put it into test mode, we can do an output test, which is where we can check everything's been wired up correctly by individually bringing components on. And if we come back out of that, we've got our service reminder that the installer can put in, which is going to bring up a reminder to the end user to get the heat pump and the pre-plumbed cylinder serviced. Error history, this is going to log all of our errors, and it's going to give us, when we click on it, what the error was, when the error was, and what the code specifically related to that error is. Come back out of that, we can put in installer details, and finally, so when we go into our advanced settings, we can go down and reset everything to factory settings if anything's went wrong, okay? And we can also restart our human machine interface unit. So come back out of that, and finally, we can exit the installer mode. So today we've shown installers how to access and navigate the installer menu. For a more in-depth look at the product, come on in for training, which can be booked at baxi.co.uk/training, or speak to your local ASM.